To say that I'm astounded would be an understatement for what we just got done witnessing in Game 6 of the second round of the Eastern Conference playoffs between the Boston Celtics and the Philadelphia 76ers. Coming into this game, the Sixers had a 3-2 lead, and this game was in Philadelphia. Most people thought that the Sixers would close out this series. A lot was going on in Boston, and Jayson Tatum had the worst first half of his career, the worst game of his career until the final couple minutes. His team kept him alive, and he closed the deal. And there is so much to talk about and discuss with this basketball game and what we saw tonight. This game took my breath away in a lot of ways. That I can't remember a game where a guy played worse and closed better than Jayson Tatum did tonight. The tale of what he did for 45 minutes opposed to the final 3 was the story of this game. But we also got to give massive credit to the other Celtics players who stepped up to keep the Celtics close in this game, to keep them tight in this game. And I also want to talk about the Sixers and their lack of offense tonight. The Celtics won 95-86 to send this to a Game 7 back in Boston. Jayson Tatum had 15 points in the fourth quarter. He had 19 points for the game. At halftime, he was 0 of 10 from the field. And we're going to get into that more in a second. Before we get into the game, take a second to subscribe to the channel. We're almost at 1,300 subscribers. We're grinding, talking about the NBA playoffs. We're actually big Celtics fans. I try to evaluate the games pretty objectively. Every once in a while, you get a little more passion in my voice, but try to evaluate what we're seeing on the court and what we saw from both of these basketball teams tonight, and the things that impressed me about the Celtics and what we're looking for going into Game 7. So obviously coming into this game, it was looking bleak for the Celtics. I feel like you had a lot of questionable Jaylen Brown quotes. You've kind of had a team that's struggling with maybe confidence, with Al Horford going 0 for 7 last game. Grant Williams can't really see the floor, confidence issues. He didn't actually play tonight. And it just seemed like there was a lot going on. Joe Mazzulla being heavily criticized, by myself included. But he came out tonight, and he finally tried to make an adjustment. He decided to start Rob Williams, and that was the difference in this basketball game other than the final few minutes of Jayson Tatum. Tonight, Robert Williams was a plus 18 when he was on the floor. The value that Rob brought to this starting lineup, the energy they came out with off the rip, was highly impressive. And even though, Rob had 10 points, 9 rebounds, which is solid, 2 blocks, that's all solid. But just the energy that he brings, the impact he brings for the Boston Celtics was the story of this basketball game, in my opinion. In a night where Jayson Tatum was a negative on offense, Al Horford was giving you nothing on offense, and, no one was playing fantastic. Jaylen Brown had 17 points, which is, a little underwhelming. Now, they found a way to win because their defense stepped up. The thing that we kept talking about last year, the Celtics were potentially the best defensive team in the entire NBA, and that's what led their finals run last year. This year in the playoffs, heading into tonight, they were 10th in the NBA in defensive rating. They had fallen off a cliff on the defensive end of the court, and that's a contribution of so many things. It's effort, it's coaching, because their players are mostly the same. If your players are mostly the same and your defense falls off a cliff, you have to evaluate how much effort those guys are giving, the continuity of the team, the coaching ability, how much he's pushing his team to play quality defense, the schemes he's running. And tonight they finally locked up. And it was a slight contribution because James Harden did what we've seen him do before in the playoffs, just absolutely wet the bed. But I want to talk about briefly, Marcus Smart is a player that's so criticized in the media, criticized even more on social media for flopping, for not making big shots, for, being a bad shooter. Tonight, Marcus Smart had 22 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists on over 50% shooting from the field. In this game where Jayson Tatum couldn't get anything going, Marcus Smart led the offense in a lot of ways, both passing the ball and scoring the basketball. There were plays in the third quarter where Jayson Tatum was not even involved on the offensive end of the court. Now, he's playing very good on the defensive end of the court, but on the offensive end, he was just not involved. So Marcus Smart had to find a way to score, make big buckets. Jaylen Brown has to find a way to hit shots. Rob Williams giving you 10 points. Malcolm Brogdon hit 4 threes. Derek White hit 3 3-pointers. The Celtics as a team hit 15 threes at 43%. They actually shot a better percentage from 3 than they did from 2. Now, there's multiple reasons for that. Tatum obviously struggled mightily from the 2-point line, but also just kind of the impact that Embiid has down low. The fact that the Celtics won this game is highly encouraging when you look at the fact that Doc Rivers is a coach that's known for blowing leads. He's known for not being able to close out series. He always has talented rosters, but he's not able to make whatever coaching adjustment that is to close out the series in the toughest games. You know that when a team's back is against the wall and their season is on the line, they're going to play their very best, and you have to bring your guys ready to play. Tonight, Philadelphia had to treat as a must-win game. Yes, you have a Game 7 in Boston. Yes, you've won a game in Boston. But tonight, it was vitally important that they found a way to close this series out, because you do not want to have a Game 7 in Boston when you've had playoff horrors from James Harden, Doc Rivers, and to a lesser extent, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid has been good in the playoffs. He has not by any means been an MVP level player. Tonight he had 26 points and 10 rebounds. That's a solid game, and I'm pulling up his stats for the playoffs. For the playoffs, he's averaging 24.6 points and 10 rebounds a game. When you look at what he was able to do in the regular season, averaging over 30 a game, leading the NBA in scoring, year after year, we have seen Joel Embiid be an MVP level player in the regular season and fall off a cliff in the playoffs. At some point, we have to hold this man accountable for what he's doing, for these big moments that he's not playing at the level that he should be achieving. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. James Harden has been the reason that they've won 2 of the games in this series. He was excellent last game in Game 5 where he hit that game winner in the corner. He was excellent in Game 1 when Embiid was out. Joel Embiid's got to come along for the ride. You can't give me a 26 and 10 if you're an MVP candidate. Nikola Jokic on the other side is playing unbelievable basketball, averaging 38 a game, a 38-point triple-double in the series he's having right now. And Joel Embiid is averaging 24 a game. That's not good enough. And you may say that's unfair. You may think that's unfair. But when I watch the basketball games and I'm thinking about who's the best players in the league, who steps up in the playoffs, it's not necessarily the thing that makes a true superstar, a true transcendent player, is that you are good and you are great in the regular season. But when the money's on the line, you become even greater. We see this from even a guy like Jimmy Butler. We've seen it so many times from LeBron James. We saw it from Michael Jordan. We saw it from Steph Curry. In these, he's had big moments in the playoffs, and he's also been unbelievable in the regular season. All these guys have been great in the regular season, but in a big game when it matters most, Steph went out there and gave you 40 last year in Game 4 of the NBA Finals. LeBron James had 50 points in a Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Giannis Antetokounmpo had 50 points to close out the NBA Finals. When is Joel Embiid going to have that game that you say, this is the guy we were waiting for, this is the guy that is in the discussion for the best player in the league? And until he has one of those games, you can't say he's the best player in the league. He just has not played at that level, in my opinion, so far. Again, we want to focus on the Celtics tonight. What Brogdon, Derek White, Marcus Smart, really the guard play for the Celtics is what kept them alive. And then Jayson freaking Tatum did what he does in the fourth quarter of this game. In the final 3 minutes, hit 4 3-pointers. And he iced this basketball game. So everything that you struggled with for all that time, that's forgiven. You played great defense. Your team helped you along, kept you alive, and you closed the deal. I'll live with it. 5 of 21. That's a horrid shooting night, but we'll live with the W. The Boston Celtics, Game 7 in Boston, holding Philly to 13 points in the fourth quarter. They couldn't get anything going. Their MVP didn't step up. James Harden wet the bed. Tyrese Maxey was playing pretty solid, but that's really all they got. All in all, be very interesting to see what happens in Game 7. You have to feel like, as the Boston Celtics, you now have the advantage. You have the momentum. You're going into a game 7, and maybe you ripped out the hearts of the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see what they bring in game 7. But that's all we got for you as far as this game is concerned. We're about to go watch the Nuggets Suns. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Appreciate y'all watching. Cyborg out.